Namaskaram to all and very good morning. So, we will start our session. Chadurmukha Samarambham Vagbhadacharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parambaram Ragadirogan Satatanushaktan Asheshagaya Prasrudan Asheshan Aulsukya Moha Aradidan Jakhana Yopurva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. So, in our last session, we were trying to review some of the ideas which we discussed previously. As I mentioned, it was essential because there were many inquiries about can you just clarify some of the ideas? And we started all these things from the idea of Ashraya-Ashrayi relation between dhadus and doshas. In the Ashraya-Ashrayi relation, we find that yadegasya tadanyasya vardhanakshapanaushadham. Yadegasya tadanyasya vardhanakshapanaushadham. And we saw that the term aushadham, yad egasya vardhanaushadham tadanyasyapi vardhanaushadham. Yad egasya kshapanaushadham tadanyasyapi kshapanaushadham. So, contextually, the word aushadham is relevant because the attempt of the author is to narrate some sort of a generalized treatment principle. Yadegasya tadanyasya vardhanakshapanaushadham. But factually, that aushadham, the word aushadham, accommodates, it is something like some sort of an upalakshana. We have to understand ahara and vihara from that. So, yad ekasya vardhana aharam tad anyasyapi vardhana aharam. Yad ekasya vardhana viharam tad anyasyapi vardhana viharam. So, when we say aushadham, it represents the chikitsa or aushadhajnanam, whereas when we say the aharam and viharam or include aharam and viharam, we can include nidanam as well as chikitsa or aushadham. In the triskandham hedulinga aushadham, aharam viharam is included in the hetu as well as aushadham, whereas when we specifically mention aushadham, it is coming under that part alone. But now, in our practice or practical experience, do we find this as a very common thing, very common experience? Yadegasya tadanyasya vardhanakshapanaushadham. So, when we take the case of, we were explaining for the easiness of explanation, we were considering Shleshma. Of course, that need not be Shleshma alone. You can consider Pitta or you can consider Vada also. But for the sake of easiness, we consider Shleshma. So, as per this theory, Ashraya Ashrayi, so Shleshma Shesheshu, so Rasam, Mamsam, Medas, Majja, Shukra. 5 dhadus are closely related to Shleshma. Of course, all are closely related to Shleshma, but all are equal, but some are more equal, isn't it? In that way, these 5 are more closely related. So theoretically, yad egasya tad anyasya vardhanakshapana aushadham. Anything which can increase rasam, anything which can increase mamsam, anything which can increase medas. Again, more specifically, any aushadham can increase shleshma. And any aushadham which will increase shleshma should increase rasam, mamsam, medas, majja, and shukra. Again, I am highlighting only 5 because we have seen that because of the adhisthana swabhavam of prithvi and jalam, all karyadravyas, all the dhadus, shariram as such is having that prithvi jala adhishthanattvam. So that is another point. But more specifically, these 5 dhadus. So anything which increases, any aushadham which increases shleshma should invariably transfer that vruddhi to rasa, mamsa, medas, majja, and shukra. But this need not happen in a uniform manner. In a uniform manner. When you look into the ashraya, ashrayi, that means anything which will increase, any aushadham which will increase mamsam will invariably increase shleshma or transfer that vriddhi to shleshma. But shleshma to mamsam, shleshma to medas, shleshma to shukram, this transfer of vriddhi, does it happen in a uniform manner or not? This is very important because Vishesha Chikitsa is always related to this understanding. Samanya Chikitsa, okay, to some extent, we may not require this sort of a precision. But for Vishesha Chikitsa, we need this sort of a precision. So, yadegasya tadanyasya vardhanakshapana aushadham is a samanya chikitsa. In the text also, after this, you will find visheshad chikitsa when we explaining. Visheshad rekta vruddhyuthan rekta sruti virechanaihi. So, after samanyam, vishesham comes. For the sake of vishesham, you need some deeper understanding. That is very important. So we were trying to explain that Visheshata. And there was another point also. What is that? In most of the Samprapti Vivaranam, explanation of Samprapti in the textbooks, we find some sort of a sequence, some sort of a chronology of events. We saw it in our last session also. What is that? Doshaha dushtaha rasaihi dhadun dushayanti ubhaye malan. So there is a sequence. Dosha dushtaha rasaihi dhadun dushayandi ubhaye malani. This is a general way of explaining sampraptis. This is a general way of explaining samprapti. But, and here we know that rasa represents all the nimitta karanas. Rasa being the topmost priority, it is listed as the leader of the set. But there are many things. Kalartha karmanam yogo hina mithyadi matragaha. All those things are there, which is well represented by rasa. So, rasaihi dushtaha doshaha. So, the first nidana. Then, rasaihi dushtaha doshaha. So, the dushti of rasa, dosha is transferred from rasa. Then, ubhay, dosha dushta rasaihi dhadun dushayandi. Doshas transfer that dushti to dhadu. So there is a sequence. There is a chronology in that things which are happening. Why does it so? Why the nidanas influence the doshas, dhadus directly? Or why it is explained? Because these are inseparable entities. Especially, dhadus are the ashrayas and doshas are the ashrayis. So, doshas are supposed to be residing in these dhadus as some sort of refugees. They have no place otherwise to stay independently. They are ashrayis. Still, it is categorically mentioned that doshaha dushtaha. Doshaha dushtaha dhadun dushayandi. Dushtaha doshaha dhadun dushayandi. Not otherwise. Not otherwise. So, what is the purpose of explaining the events in such a way? Or why it should be explained in such a way? That was one point that we were trying to explain. So, one explanation could be, again, based on the bhuda configuration of doshas and the dhadus. Again, taking Shleshma as the model, which is Prithvi Jala Pradhana, Ambha Pridhivibhyam Shleshma. Even I think, see, as far as Shleshma is concerned, the usage is very categorical. Ambha Pridhivibhyam Shleshma. Even the presence of other three doshas, other bhudas, three bhudas are not even acknowledged. Ambha Pridhivibhyam Shleshma. So, Shleshma is fundamentally, basically, Ambha and Prithvi, which is again a direct representation of Sneha. And we saw that Sneha Saro Ayam Purushaha, because all the dhadus are Prithvi Pradhana, which is Sneha Pradhana. So Sneha Saro Ayam Purushaha. But one point what we tried to highlight is that Shleshma is Ambha Prithvibhyam. Rasa is Ambha Prithvibhyam. Rektam is Ambha Prithvibhyam. Mamsam is Ambha Prithvibhyam. But in Shleshma, that is a generalized and a statement which covers the entire Shleshma. But when you say that Rasa is Ambha Prithvi predominant and Rekta is Ambha Prithvi predominant, Mamsa is Ambha Prithvi predominant, because all are basically Sneha, that is partially correct. Why partially correct? Their adhisthana is Prithvi and Jala. As Karya Dravyas, their adhisthana is Prithvi and Jala, but they are not Prithvi Jala Pradhana Dravyas. Rekta is an Agneya Dravya. Because even though the Prithvi Jala Adhishtanatva is there, the predominant Bhuda in Rekta is Agni. In the case of Asti, we saw that it has got Prithvi Jala Adhishtanatvam, but it is a Vayu predominant Dravya for some specific reasons which we are yet to discuss in detail. So like any other Karya Dravya, all the dhadus in Sharira is having Prithvi as its Adhisthana, that Kshmam Adhisthaya Jayade Ambuyoni. That Ambuyonitvam is also there, but there is specific way in which the Bhudas are cooperating to form a particular dhatu. So the way in which the Bhudas are cooperating with one another in Rasa is different from the way in which Bhudas are cooperating with each other in Rekta, or the way in which they cooperate in Mamsa. So even though there is a Sneha Saroyam Purushaha Bhava, there is specificity. That is why I used one example. See, when there is a Shleshma Vriddhi happening, or a Nidana with the Prithvi Jala predominance is coming to some sort of a yoga with Sharira, that Prithvi Jala Pradhanata is transferred to the Sharira, which is a Sneha Bhava, Shleshma Bhava, that is spreading across the Sharira. It is something like an area, a territory which is waterlogged. Think about or visualize an area which is waterlogged. So in general, the area is waterlogged. But when you take individual objects from that waterlogged areas, when you examine objects in the waterlogged area one by one, you will understand that the way in which each object is affected by the water is not uniform, is different. The way in which a piece of rock is affected by water, or a piece of brick which is affected by water, a piece of cloth which is affected by water, a piece of wooden log which is affected by water in a waterlogged territory are not same. In the same way, when a Shleshma Vriddhi happens in the Sharira, all the dhadus are afflicted by the Shleshma Vriddhi, but not the same way. And it cannot be mentioned, it cannot be highlighted as a specific issue of a particular dhadu, but it is a highly generalized one. And that highly generalized one is happening or very easy, very fast to manifest. The moment it happens, it is spreading across. But all the dhadus will not accommodate that Shleshma Vriddhi with the same gravity. This is because the bhautik fingerprint of each dhadu is different. The bhautik fingerprint of the way the vinyasa kramam of bhudas in each dhadu is different. The amount of prithvi, the way in which the ambuyoni is connecting it, the way in which the prithvi kanas are distributed, and the space the prithvi kanas occupy to form the fundamental tanmatra of that dhatu, and the type and quantity of Agni which brings the paga of all these ingredients to make a sustainable unit of that tanmatra of that dhatu are all unique. Accordingly, the way in which each dhatu is going to be afflicted by a stimulus is also different. So that is why when there is a flood of Shleshma, flood of Prithvi Jala, flood of Sneha happening, there is a generalized and immediate Shleshma Vriddhi all across the Sharira, but that is not getting focused to any particular dhatu. This Shleshma Vriddhi which is happening all of a sudden, very fast, by the influence of a specific Nidana, can be directed to a particular dhatu because of various reasons, by means of various influences. Many things can be there. The vriddhi of the Shleshma, which is very fast, is transferred or translated as the vriddhi of a particular dhatu by the influence of many factors. One such factor, or the most important among many factors in this entire operation, is the guna vikalpa. The guna vikalpa that has influenced the Shleshma. Broadly, we say that it is a Prithvi Jala Pradhana Nidanam. And to some specificity, we say that it is Snigdha Shita Pradhana Nidanam. To some specificity. But with the sharpest precision, when you look at this event, there will be many considerations about the Guna Vikalpa. Okay, it is Snigdha and Sita I agree. But is it Guru or Lakhu? Is it Manda or Tikshna? So that sort of considerations also come. So the Guna Vikalpa of the Nidana, which is transferred to the Shleshma broadly, will further be scrutinized before understanding which dhatu could be the potential target which is going to receive this Shleshma Vriddhi to the most. This is very important. See, at one point, while explaining the Samanya Chikitsa, which is a wonderful idea, what is that? Sa eva kupido doshaha samuthana visheshataha sthanandarani cha prapya vigaran kurude bahun. So, sa eva kupitaha doshaha samuthana visheshataha sthanandarani cha prapya. What is samuthanam? Karanam. How a karanam is understood? Based on the guna vikalpa. So samuthana visheshataha sthanandarani cha prapya. So samuthana visheshataha sthana visheshaha. Which is the sthana? Which is the sthana means the sthana which is going to accommodate the dosha vriddhi. So sthana visheshaha is determined by samuthana vishesha. Samuthana vishesha is determined by the dosha vikalpa, sorry, guna vikalpa. So guna vikalpa is going to determine the sthana vishesha. Saeva kupitaha doshaha. So that means the dosha vriddhi in its initial phase is highly generalized one, but specificity is attributed to that dosha vriddhi when we look specifically into the guna vikalpa. Saeva kupido doshaha samuthana visheshataha sthanandarani prapya bahun vikaran kurute. Bahun vikaran kurute tasmad vikara prakriti adhishthānandaraṇi ca buddhva hedu visheshamscha shighram kuryādu pakramam. So hedu vishesham, not hedu, but hedu vishesham. Hedu vishesham is a crucial element in giving bhaishajya vishesham. That is what we mentioned as the precise intervention. Not samanya chikitsa, but vishesha chikitsa. So that is why all these concepts are important. I do not know whether I am not coming to conclusions, but coming to confusions. If that is happening, I am happy, because only from this bunch of confusion that we will come to a sort of understanding of what does all these mean. So with that, I conclude. I know that the things are not fully explained. Doesn't matter. We will discuss this ashraya bandham developing into a roga samprapti is very crucial. So we will come to further aspects of this in our next session. Before that, if there are some chats, we will see. There are nothing in the chat box. So either it is very well articulated or It is not articulated at all. In both cases, this can happen. So as of now, I don't find anything in the chat box. So we will conclude here. Bhishajam sadhuvrittanam bhadramagamashalinam abhyasta bhadram bhadrabhilashinam. Thank you very much. My request is to think about these ideas again and again and translate them to your day-to-day clinical practice. Then it will be a wonderful experience, I hope and pray. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, sir.